Achtung, Achtung, Christmas is a-coming, dear listeners. And to quote Richard Chaplow, 26 appearances, 9 subs, 1 goal, as he once said, you cannot beat a good board game. And we've got a good board game for you here. Achtung has teamed up with a tremendous football trivial pursuit style game called Pundit. You can follow Pundit at Pundit Games on Twitter. And it's a really nice little game, actually. It's a board game. It consists of football trivia questions, easy and hard. Some of the hard ones are very, very hard. And you move along a football pitch to score goals against your opponent. It will suit the football head in your life, dear listeners. Great way to pass a Christmas afternoon. You can get a 10% discount if you visit punditgames.co.uk. That's PUNDIT GAMES, punditgames.co.uk. Get a 10% discount at checkout with the code LIONS in capital letters. LIONS, capital letters. And every sale will benefit the Lions Food Hub. What a better way to pass your Christmas than to enjoy a good football trivia game and to know you're doing good at the same time. So get on it. punditgames.co.uk.
Hi, it's Mr. Bye for now from Millwall Football Club, and you're listening to the world famous Achtung Millwall.
Ofi Modrib Bendigedig. Welcome to Achtung Millwall. That, if you didn't, apologies to any Welsh speakers out there, that is Welsh, Neil. But oh my Gideon, what a result for the Iranians there. Just in the, we've just literally finished watching the World Cup tie between Wales 0 and Iran 2. I thought the Iranians looked really good.
Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear.
I did look that one up.
Yeah, but the greatest footballer that Britain's ever known, apparently. He's coming home next week. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. That's all I've got to say on the matter.
I did look up the Welsh for oh dear, oh dear, oh dear, as well as my Gideon. And that, listeners, is oh dear, oh dear, oh dear.
And well, he's even managed to say it in a Welsh accent, which is even more impressive.
I'm amazed at my pronunciation of that one, because generally I can't roll my R's, listeners, can I, be in English? Great result for the Iranians. I thought they looked a really sharp side. I mean, they caught the last 20 minutes or so, Neil, but they looked bang on it and put the Welsh to the sword there, didn't they?
Yeah, they did. To be fair, Wales looked pretty average, didn't they? Looked like
they looked like an average championship side, didn't they? I mean, that's which
They didn't even look like a championship side. Yeah, they looked like a team that was full of players from England and third-rate players at that. Yeah, but to make Kiefer Moore looked okay the other day, but
yeah, not today. Well, from the bit that I saw of it, listeners, I didn't see most of it. I saw about the last 20 minutes of it. But a fine result for the Iranian side. But yeah, we are on the brink. Obviously, England play later today. Neil and I are recording this literally just as the Welsh game's finished. But I thought we might not dwell on the World Cup. Obviously, dominates proceedings at the moment. But it might be nice to look at the current Millwall news. We've got this friendly tomorrow, haven't we? We're playing Brondby at the Den. As a kind of a warm-up friendly ahead of the return of league football a week Saturday, which is the away trip to Sunderland. I won't be going to the friendly, listeners. I don't do friendlies. I don't know if it's been streamed now. I haven't seen much about the fixture at all, to be fair. I think it's a 1 o'clock kickoff at the Den tomorrow.
Yeah, it's it is a 1 o'clock kickoff. Definitely a 1 o'clock kickoff. I think it is available on the old
the TV, Millwall TV. Yeah,
Millwall TV. I like these games. I must admit,
do you? Okay.
It's something a bit different to watch, isn't it? It makes a change from our usual fare of friendlies, and to get these teams over, you don't get to see them, do you?
No,
it's quite good. It's quite good having a little look at it. Funnily enough, I just had a look at their squad, and I haven't heard of anyone, to be honest. But then again, a few of these are quite likely to be at the World Cup, so God knows what kind of team they're going to play.
it's going to be a warm up, a kind of a workout routine for both sides. Really, I mean, I don't know anything about Brøndby other than the fact that they do feature in European competition. So fair play to them for that. I mean, I don't knock anyone that wants to go along there tomorrow. It's not for me personally. There's a couple of interesting stories on the respective news sites. I mean, News at Den we were looking at, Neil, weren't we? And also London News Online. The story that's caught my eye on News at Den here: Mill begin to nail down targets ahead of the January transfer window. This is by Alex Jones. The Lions are aiming to bring in a couple of new faces ahead of the second half of the Championship campaign, which is what we've been talking about for some time on these shows. But certainly, it sounds like there are moves afoot. And that links in with quite an interesting story on the signing of Zian Fleming. This is on London News Online. This is by Richard Corley. It's an exclusive inside track on how the Lions came to claim Zian, and fighting off interest from a number of foreign clubs. Olympiacos of Cyprus apparently would beat them to his signature with an improved offer.
Greek, Nick.
I was as a Greek, sorry. I thought it said Cyprus, but Greek, sorry. Also, we've headed off a number of, I think Wolfsburg, I think were mentioned in this article. So, we've done some work there. Apparently, Michael Kieftenbelt put a good word in for us with Fortuna Sittard, which were Zian's home club prior to him signing. But also Huddersfield and Forest were interested in him as well. So we've done really well to get this signature over the line, I think, as form is showing now. He's just starting to hit his stride with us, Neil.
Yeah, he's impressed, doesn't he? Considering he missed the start of the season. Yeah, but I think in each game he's shown what an influential and what a good player he is. Especially that hat-trick against Preston last time out. A very, very good signing. And that story, it just dispels the myth that we discovered him playing Football Manager or something like that. I kind of like that.
Yeah, I mean, this is good banter type stuff. But I mean, when you read the piece, both Gary Rowett and Alex Aldrich have respectively worked hard to get this signing done. And in fairness to Zian, I mean, again, this is an interesting part here. They had a number of initial Zoom calls with him whilst he was in Amsterdam. Very much a job interview type approach. Now he's brought his own set of questions, and the article makes a point of saying that he wrote the answers down from Gary Rowett. He's had a notepad and pen ready to take down the answers. So he sounds like a boy that takes his game seriously, wants to improve, and I think it's kind of it's a bit of a boost to the spirits to read this, because it sounds like we've ticked his boxes in terms of where he wants to go as a player, which is great to hear, great to read, I think.
Yeah, we are a club going forward, aren't we? Let's be honest, in many aspects. We've said it a number of times that we want Millwall to look at the foreign market. And let's be honest, the two players we've signed from abroad this summer, Vogelslammer, although he hasn't scored, I think he's shown a bit of promise. I know people write him off as being crap and they expect him to be on 15, 20 goals already.
Right. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
But we have largely played him out of position.
Yeah.
And I think where we were expecting, or there was predictions that Honeyman would walk away with Player of the Year, I think it'd be quite difficult to look beyond Zian Fleming at the moment, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it
will be January. Obviously, Olympiacos, I think, are owned by the same guy that owns Nottingham Forest.
Yeah, Evangelos Marinakis.
So will he come in? But I think it would need an astronomical bid, I think, for Millwall to get rid of him in January, considering the place that we're in and as influential as he's been. Yeah, I think you've got to be looking at 20, 30 million to even consider selling him in January.
Well, the interesting sentence, I mean, the article is well worth a read, and I'd recommend anyone that's not looked on London News Online have a look at it. And it's certainly it's an interesting read on the amount of work that both Gary Rowett and Alex Aldridge have put in, and the club generally, the prospects for improvement that Ziane's identified. But the interesting sentence and the crucial sentence is that Fleming has no release clause in his Millwall contract. So I think, as you've just said there, Neil, you're right, for any interest to come in now, and it does touch on the fact that other clubs from a higher level will be, keeping track of him. They're going to have to put their hand in their pocket on a much, much larger scale than I think that we've ever seen for a player in a Millwall shirt. So the article is good, upbeat stuff, and I enjoyed reading it. So well done to Richard Corley for that piece. It does link in with the rest of the transfer news that's on News at Den. Gary Rowett's not specifying a particular area of the pitch where he wants to strengthen in, Neil. But he did highlight the fact that any manager would be keen to add more goals to the team, and that touches also on, I think, Benik Afobe is having work done on his knee and is not available for the Sunderland trip. So, might be reading too much into those two different stories, but it does sound like we want to get a goal scorer, improve the goal scoring from some direction or another.
Mate, I think if we've got an Achilles heel at the moment, it is the fact that we don't score enough, or our strikers aren't scoring enough goals.
No.
Fair play to Bradshaw, he gives everything. And Zion Fleming, a phobie when he plays. But if we had a goal scorer up there, combined with what's coming from Fleming, because he isn't scoring goal scorer goals, really, is he? He's scoring absolute worldies.
Well, that's right. And he's second in the table. I think, let me find the article again. I'm sure.
Second or third. I think Ollie McBurney is somebody.
Certainly if we can add some more conventional striking talent, then we become contenders, which is a big thing to say. But there we are. So that remains to be seen how that pans out. A big January ahead of us, I think, Neil.
Yeah, we are after a guy called Evan Ferguson, who's Republic of Ireland international, won a couple of caps. Used to play for Bohemians, I think, in Ireland, and is playing for Brighton. And I spoke to one of my top scoop scouts in the football world.
I need a jingle for Neil's scoop. I'll find a jingle.
And but this is well known. It's been in the papers, but But I got on to somebody I know in football, and they rate him very, very, very highly. A lot of clubs interested in him in the Championship, in League One. But the only thing that's going against us would be Brighton want to guarantee minutes for him. They want him guaranteed match action,
right?
And it's something that we might not be able to do. So it could mean that he goes elsewhere. Obviously, Brighton, he's only 18, so Brighton want him to play as much as they can. I just wonder if it's the person I spoke to likened him to, he said he's one of the best players that he's ever worked with.
Wow.
And
wow.
And that's something, and predicts he's going to be an absolute star. But 18...
Well, you get the ghost of Troy Parrott coming into your mind, but that's a big...
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, but but that's what was going through my mind then. 18, is it too soon for him to be coming to a club that we are pushing for the Premier League? Yeah, we're not pushing for promotion out of League One, where you can gamble a little bit. We're playing for all the marbles, aren't we? We're involved with the big boys.
Well, that's what's on the table. So you're right. I mean, I don't know enough about the boy. That's a big statement, but 18 does seem very youthful to be thrown into the helter-skelter of the Championship football. You're up against some proper defenders.
He's only just 18. He's only just 18. He was 18 in October. So this is a very, very, very young
raw talent,
raw, inexperienced player, and to my mind, it does have all the hallmarks of Troy Parrott, because I think Troy Parrott has gone away from Millwall, and I think he was at MK Dons. He might be
Milton
somewhere
Keynes.
else now.
Yeah, I think he's doing okay there, but he's
Yeah, and he
he's
started
doing.
to score.
Yeah,
He started to score goals, which is what we hoped he was going to bring when he first came to us at the start of last season. But I think it was a move too soon for him, wasn't it?
and the level too high in terms of defensive now. So I mean, it's one thing to start scoring in League One, and that's no disrespect to those clubs. But as we know, we've been there. It's a different level when you step up to the Championship. And good, fair play to Troy. I liked him as he seemed like a decent boy, but I think he's needed that time as a first choice pick and the indulgence to be given games where maybe he doesn't score too many. You tend not to get the den, do you? The patience levels tend to be a little bit more shorter for us because, as you said, we're playing for the top table here, and we have our chances now. So I think that might be experience may yet come into play, but certainly the club have targets. The article says here, and it's going to be an interesting January. I think we wait to see what comes our way.
Yeah, we're also interested in a guy called Dylan Lovett. This was a story, I think, in the Sun last week. Former Manchester United midfielder. He had a spell at the Spotters. Now playing for Dundee United. Obviously Welsh international. He's actually at the World Cup, and I think he's making up the bibs, balls, and cones numbers.
He'll be coming home soon.
Yeah, no, we'll be home to sign by next week, won't he? He moved to Dundee United, I think, on loan last season, and that became permanent. I don't know if it's agent talk, but I would have thought, unless we're going to ship out the likes of George Evans, potentially Ryan Leonard.
Well, this is going to be the other side of the coin, isn't it? I mean, people coming in must mean people going out. I mean, I've not seen anything on that. I suppose Evans would be an obvious choice. He seems to be Gary Rowett's favoured late substitution of choice recently, doesn't he? He comes in with about 5 minutes to go generally. But he's nowhere near.
He wants more than 5 minutes here, 5 minutes there. You might get the odd 20 minutes.
You'd have thought so. I mean, I suppose the loaning out of Leonard, if that's on the agenda, might be as a kind of a rehabilitation a little bit. Whether Leonard sees himself as needing game time elsewhere to rebuild himself. He does seem rather prone to big injuries, though, Ryan Leonard, doesn't he? I do wonder whether that might come into Mill's thinking. I mean, long term, you can't really depend on Ryan Leonard. Whether that's a little.
No, that's a shame because he's actually shown that he can play in 2 or 3 positions, and he plays in those positions well. He can fill in at centre back, which I think surprised everybody when he played centre half at how good he actually looked at centre back. And he can play at right back, and
it's his durability. I suppose that's Ryan Leonard will obviously take a different view on it, but these are the unsentimental decisions that football management at this level requires, because you've got to weigh up how much time will you get. If he gets injured again, which is possible, you're kind of stuck with a dud. But he may recover and press on. I mean, and as you say, he's a decent player. I like him. So
he is a decent player, and this appears to be the most injury-prone move of his career. But
how old is he now? Late 20s? Is he?
Yeah.
He's not.
Yeah, but I thought he would be. But at some point, I think you've got to cut your losses, and Mill have a habit of hanging on to players longer than we really should hang on to players, and I think this is one of those. I think this is one of those occasions, isn't it, where we have to say, yeah, okay, I think you're not giving us anything with long periods on the treatment table with Bobby Backache. or Millwall or
Or
whatever.
the modern version of him.
Yeah, the modern version of him. And it's time that you say, well, let's get in somebody who isn't quite as injury prone and doesn't pick up these ripping his hamstring, which requires an operation. It just seems awful bad luck, doesn't it?
It's a ruthless business, though, Neil. I mean, and it's hard to exclude your own sentimental, for want of a better word, thoughts, because a player like Ryan Leonard, and even to some level Mason Bennett, both are players that get injured a lot. Mason, thankfully, seems to recover quite quickly, but this is a bit of a drag on a squad that doesn't have large numbers, and you just can't afford to be having too many players in Bobby Backache's room. It's going to be an interesting transfer window. I mean, I hadn't thought of Ryan Leonard as a possible loan out, but you're right. That must be on Gary Rowett's notebook, mustn't it, to be thinking about one way or the other.
Yeah, but I know that people have said Tyler Bury to go out.
That I don't get. I don't understand.
Yeah, no, I don't get that one either. Well, did somebody suggest it on Twitter to us the other week?
Yeah,
I don't get it myself. I think he needs to be here. We can't keep on loaning people out. Isaac Alafe's another one, but you have to wonder: is it worth us keeping hold of him? We were willing to let him go to Barnsley, as part of the Callum Styles deal, but events conspired against us, and I think he went up there too late, or the deal was completed too late, and.
I mean, Isaac's he sat on the bench a couple of games recently.
Hasn't got on.
No, I don't think he's had any time on the pitch. That I can think of recently. And as you say, if we really are shooting for the Premier League and we need goals, then if he's not deemed to be good enough, then probably it's fairer on the boy to say go on loan. Maybe look at a longer term deal from once the loan's out. Expires. We shall see.
Achtung, Millwall.
Just looking at some other stories on there. Jim Caracan, there's a name from the past, has joined the Mill scouting team. Apparently, he's now scouting. 33 years old. I think he was another player that hit a lot of injuries late in his career. Jim Caracan. I used to like him in midfield, but he was very much at the back end when he joined Millwall, which would be about 6-7 years ago now, I think. But he's now part of the scouting team, Neil.
He had two spells at Millwall, didn't he?
Earlier he did, yeah.
He had one at the very start of his career.
Yeah.
From what I can remember, I'm desperately trying to look up my.
It was 2008-ish, 2009-ish. Jim Caracan. He's a local boy. He's from Catford, isn't he? And he came back. Reading, yeah, that's where he really made his name, I think, at Reading. But yeah, now part of the Lions scouting team. Let's hope he can turn up some nuggets out there.
Yeah, well, I think he was a highly rated player. I think he impressed when he first pitched up.
Yeah,
and definitely. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, no, I've just got it up. Yeah, no, he is a Catford boy. He's 2007, 2008.
That's it.
Apparently from a Millwall supporting family, according to the Millwall Who's Who. I don't know who actually wrote that, but they must.
They must know their stuff.
Yeah, they must know what they're on about. And then I think he had a couple of loans and around. I think Bournemouth before us was very much at the start of his career.
Yeah,
I think 18-19. Then went to Galatasaray.
That's right. I think his family have got Turkish links, haven't they? So
yeah,
he played out there
with a name like that, wouldn't you?
Caracan. I don't know how to pronounce it, correct pronunciation is, but yeah,
Caracan, I think, yeah.
Caracan is
and then came back for 6 months. I think in 2018, but I don't think he did anything.
I think he was very much at the
other end of his career, then, wasn't he?
Yeah, carrying whatever baggage that you carry after a professional football career, injury-wise. I mean,
yeah, he probably knows Alex Aldridge. I would have thought that Alex is making these appointments. I think he has been working as a football consultant or something in the meantime.
He's come a long way, Alex, hasn't he? I mean, just reading these articles here, and as you say, he probably knows Jem and others around the game. I think he's, the signing of Zian Fleming is a real high point for him. I mean, presuming that Zian goes on to bigger and better things, and achieves with the Lions, and who knows what else in his career. That's a real standout.
Yeah, mate, he has come a long way, and we said it in the summer that he's upped his game, and he's upped our game.
He has.
In terms of our recruitment, and it was always something that we were lacking in, was our recruitment. There was the joke about Kenny Jackett had his list of targets, and he started to work his way through them, no matter how long it had taken him. Yeah, but the likes of Simon Fleming and
Vogelsammer, yeah, that's right. I mean, these do look a different level of player. Even the likes of Callum Styles, I mean, highly rated. I think we've yet to truly see Callum blossom, if that's the right way to put it. But then
you've got Cresswell
and Shackleton. You are getting a sense of a different level of signing here. So, and it sounds like Gary Rowett, really going purely by the story on the London News Online listeners, but they seem to have worked as a team where, Rowett is working with the player, Alex is working with the player's agent and his family to try and reassure them. It's just a really interesting development, because we're not used to that at Mill. It's always been a bit amateurish at the Den, Neil, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right. And we have to be smarter, and we are being smarter. It's great to see. It's part of the evolution, I think, of the modern Millwall. Yeah, we mentioned last week about West Kingsdown.
Yeah.
And I think we're going to come on to that a little bit later. Again. We're just being a lot smarter. We're looking to up our game. We need to up our game, because we're aiming to be a club at the top end of the Championship. And you need the facilities, you need the mindset, you need all of those things that we aren't small wall anymore as teams double.
I mean, the West Kingsdown training ground thing was also mentioned in the Zian Fleming. Apparently, that was one of the factors in the many things that Zian's weighed up in his decision to come to Millwall, because the gist of the article is he's turned down financially better deals that were on the table. Olympiacos, I think, are featuring in the Champions League early rounds, certainly. And I think they made a better financial deal from the Zian's point of view, but he's chosen to come to Millwall. And I'm going to guess that's the conversations that he's had with Gary Rowett, Alex Aldridge, and the fact that we're now moving towards being a more professional setup training-wise as well. So this is all...
And I also think he would also have been told by Alex and Gary Rowett that you come here, you're going to play.
Yeah.
You're going to get paid. Yeah. Greek football, you don't know whether or not you're going to get paid from 1 week to the next.
Well, this is it.
Depends on the owner's win. Yeah. If he'd gone to Forest, he probably wouldn't have played.
No.
He'd have been absolutely lost. But he's come here. He can get used to the English game in the Championship with us. And when he's fit, he's going to play. He's going to play 90 minutes, isn't he?
Yeah, and you very quickly become a very big fish in quite a small pool at Millwall, don't you? Zian Fleming is now... Yeah. He's undroppable now. No manager, Rowett's not going to drop him unless he's injured or something of that kind. And it quite quickly you become the main man, and I think that will be good for Zian's development. It's going to be a really interesting career to follow.
Jed Wallace scenario, wasn't it? Jed Wallace became a very big fish in a small pond with us, but we hung on to him for too long. Yeah, I think what you'll see is with this one is that Zion will move on in the summer. I'd be very surprised if he left in January, unless we got an astronomical bid. I think it would be suicide for us to let him go in January. But then again, if somebody offers you £30-odd million for him,
his price is going up each time we talk about him. He's gone with 20 million earlier, and there's 30 million.
Yeah, no, I did say between 20 and 30, but if somebody does offer you, the north end of that,
yeah. I mean, there's no club that's not a selling club. It's a cliche, isn't it? We would sell.
Yeah, well, you say, well, that'll cost you £35 million. You just chuck a stupid number out there, and they try and negotiate and say, well, we'll give you 30. You think to yourself, fucking hell, what do you do?
Well, you're not going to say no to that, you know. Millwall would not say.
Yeah, no. Presumably, they have got other targets in mind.
Yeah,
but it's a strange one. I don't know what you would do. What would you do in that situation? Would you sell him if we're offered 30 million?
I think it's a really hard question because you fight your own Millwall. The Millwall fan is a sentimental fan. It's a very odd thing, given our kind of public reputation, but we do hang on to players. We always want old players to come back. It is this sense of being a family. So when you've got a talent like Zian Fleming, it's a very hard thing for the Millwall fan mindset, in my opinion, to adopt the ruthlessness that other clubs adopt. So you're right. We would, if the offer were right, and you'd have to be talking about a lot of money for Zian Fleming. Whether he'll command that kind of money yet, I don't know. He's certainly proving his abilities in a very hard league. The Championship is one of the hardest leagues to carve out a reputation. He's scoring. He's second in the scoring charts at the moment. So yeah, you'd have to think hard about it. And the job of the management and the chairman and the chief exec is to know your moment when you sell up, because Brentford have achieved their status, Neil, in the game by selling good players for high prices, having found them for cheap money. It's a pretty basic concept. So, you know, the likes of Ivan Toney and others have kind of, they've been, you know, bought and sold at various points with that method. That's how we have to get to. It doesn't come naturally to us, though.
No, I think what you've also got to weigh up is that I don't know what it's worth winning promotion to the Premier League these days. It's probably worth 200 million.
It's going to be a lot of money, yes.
So do you gamble 30 million against 200 million?
I think
I'm torn just even thinking about it. Yeah, when you mention 200 million against 30 million, because I think if he goes, that are the odds on us winning promotion to the Premier League diminish immensely, don't they?
I think that's one way to look at it. We become in recent years. Millwall love a star player, you know. So Jed obviously is the previous incarnation of the star player. Zian is now rapidly becoming our star player. And then when you look back through history, we often have standout players, you know, Teddy Sheringham, players of that ilk. We as a club do have to develop a business ruthless streak, and that will involve selling at the right time. Judging that's the art form that is, you hope, is what the big names at the club are paid to do and get right. I would think that Zian has he's clearly come to Millwall to develop his own career. That reading the article implies he's come here because he wants to make a mark in the English game and improve. So he will be also looking to move along at the right moment to the right level of club for him as he sees it. So there's a mutual, you know, it's not love. We're passing acquaintances, you know, if you want to put it that way. I would think that if we can strengthen our side with a huge sum of money, which is what we would have to want at the moment, so we've got him contracted for a certain period of time. If we can acquire 3 or 4 very, very good players and strengthen the side, then you're not dismissing the idea of promotion with a strengthened and enhanced side. You'd spread the talent around. So that's where we have to get to. It just doesn't come naturally, in my opinion, to the Millwall fans' mindset. We're not geared that way. because we're not used to it. I think we're always used to selling our stars, Neil, for short money, and then we finish up back in League One at some point. But this is the next level we're trying to move to here, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right. And it is the promised land, isn't it? Let's face it.
Yeah.
We go up, and you'd have to say we'd only spend a season up there.
Initially, but that would be your aim, wouldn't it? You contain your wages and then look to rebuild back in the... That's how other clubs have done it. I think West Brom have done it.
Yeah, then you come down.
Norwich.
Then you come down with huge parachute payments. Although knowing our luck, they'll agree a new deal when we're up there, and parachute payments will be abolished.
Well, on that very subject, that's a great segue into the next story. I've done no agenda for this, listeners. I'm working purely on other people's work on this occasion. London News Online's work. So I'm following their stories on their Millwall page. But anyway, Steve Kavanagh, Chief Executive, is raging at the lack of progress for the Premier League's fan review of governance and all the rest of it, which does include, as you've just said there, the issue of parachute payments. So nothing moving very fast, or not fast enough for Kavanagh's liking at the moment. They won't want to move unless they're forced to. I think they're probably way up that the government is in and has been in turmoil for some time, and any future government, whatever stripe that is that comes in, will have other things to worry about than the highly prosperous football industry. So I think they're looking to...
Well, Captain U-turn. You were Captain U-turn.
Is that hindsight? Captain Hindsight or Captain U-turn? Which one's this? Is this...
Yeah, it'll be both of them, won't it? Let's face it, Captain Hindsight, who also is known to be Captain U-turn. I think that they've said there will be some kind of central governance for football, which I don't think will go down well with FIFA.
No,
because they
don't want governance.
Yeah, well, that's unless it's Qatari government interference. Yeah, and it comes with a huge wheelbarrow full of cash for Gianni and Powell.
No.
Yeah, what a junket that'll be on to be one of to be one of Gianni Infantino's pals at the minute. You'd be over there enjoying yourself.
Absolutely.
But everything that I've been reading and hearing about this is the Premier League. They're holding us to they're holding
the
clubs to ransom down below. Yeah, they don't want. Yeah, they want FA Cup replays to be abolished. There's some talk of they can opt out the League Cup.
Yeah,
and we've spoken about that a number of times. I think the League Cup's had its day, to be quite frank.
Well, if they start pulling little rule changes like that, then you may as well just pack it up and say.
So, and let's face it, there are huge lobby firms being paid vast sums of money by the Premier League and by Premier League clubs to lobby politicians, because that's what they do essentially, isn't it? And there's that much money at stake here. They're going to push against everything they can, especially your American owners. Can you imagine Manchester United fans having veto over the Glazers and things like that? So
yeah,
I think we said it at the time. I think we might have said it with Phil.
Yeah,
when we did
the supporters trust.
That this fan-led review, it was a fine romantic notion, but I think it was a starting point for negotiation. But seen as a starting point for negotiation and not the finished product. And I think when it eventually does come to pass, you're gonna find a great watered down version.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think you're right.
If Millwall want to push ahead, and they obviously do want to push ahead, and we want to get ahead of legislation, you've got to say from Steve Kavanagh, he's worked pretty smart on this, hasn't he?
He's leading from the front. I mean, the quote in the article is that it's an absolute disgrace that the game has not pressed ahead with progress on the fan-led review of governance, which includes all the things we've mentioned on previous shows, notably the redistribution of finance within the game between the Premier League and the rest. But yeah, we do seem to be pressing, or he does seem to be taking a leading position on this. So that's to his credit, in my opinion. Where the story will finish, we don't know. I think you're right, Neil. I don't think the game sees any great, won't want any move towards governance, outside influence. They'll offer a few sops to it and hope they can get away with it. We'll see. Political scene will dictate how much emphasis the government give to that. I bet they don't give it very much government emphasis, but there we are.
Achtung, Millwall.
Visit No One Likes Us clothing for all your Millwall clobber. www.noonelikesus.co.uk.
The other story that's caught my eye, Neil, and we mentioned it on WhatsApp last night about the company that runs the club shop and the kind of sundry kit and souvenirs and all sorts of things. I didn't realise that the club shop was effectively run by a third party outfit. I thought it was part and parcel of Millwall Football Club, but it's actually run on a contract with a group called Elite Sports Group, who've gone into administration. I think the club are working overtime now to try and retrieve the situation, because technically it means that the club shop is not able to trade them. I think the website is down at the moment. I didn't know we subbed it out in this way, but apparently it's quite a common thing, you were saying.
Yeah, we did it in the summer,
right?
I believe they closed for a couple of weeks in the summer, and they said it's coming back. And
in April, it says long-term partnership.
Yeah, I think they said that Hummel were running it. There was nothing that said that this Elite Sports were running it. A company who I think I read that they run 80 club shops.
Apparently so. Yeah, apparently it's a big
up
thing.
And down the country. Yeah. Rugby and football been hit very hard by London Wasps going out of business, or Wasps going out of business, not London Wasps, you idiot. But in rugby, interestingly, rugby clubs have to buy their kit. In football, it's given to them. And then you've obviously got the stuff that's gone in the Coventry or the Arena shop. I'm not sure who ran that. I think it was Elite Sports. But obviously, Wasps going out of business has left a big black hole in their finances. We're not alone. I was reading when Millwall broke this news. Typical Millwall was stuck in the 1980s. But it's increasingly an avenue that clubs look to go down. One of the clubs hit Southampton in the Premier League.
Yeah, we're not alone. You're right. I'm just reading through this. Yeah. Southampton mentioned, and others.
Yeah,
Coventry.
But the benefits for Millwall are obviously they get a huge lump sum. Hopefully, we got some of that money in advance from them.
Yeah,
and we don't have to pay for the stock.
No, it's just not under our wing at all, is it? We get the
so our overheads come down dramatically, and I think it was a smart piece of thinking by Millwall. The club shop at Millwall has been embarrassing for years.
Well, it's become a figure of speech. It's almost it's like you don't even have to mention it. Everyone knows it's not been very good, but.
The amount of money that we let slip through our fingers, because people do want to buy stuff.
They do.
And you go in there every so often, I used to when I lived up in London, and you went to games. You'd go in there every so often to have a look, see what was in there. If you went down for a ticket midweek, it was the old you buy your ticket. Or you buy tickets for an away game or something like that, and then you'd go in the Millwall Cafe at the weeks, and then you'd have a quick nose around the club shop.
Yeah,
and people do want to spend money, but we're a club. We don't make it easy for people to spend money.
Well, especially with the increasing number of foreign fans, which is we've spoken about that many times. The location of the club being what it is makes it a very handy part of people come to London for long weekends, and there's a game of football going on at Bermondsey. So you can get down.
Yeah, and they're right to be pilfered.
Yeah, they
They're
love,
right.
you know. I mean, all joking aside, the US fans, the European fans, they love all this kind of souvenir stuff.
Yeah, but they love a scarf. Yeah, they love a scarf. They love a pennant.
Yeah. So there's
They
money
love
to
a
be
shirt.
made. Money to be made there.
Yeah,
I think to be got
yeah,
right.
they love an overpriced badge. Anything. Yeah, but they will buy the lot of it. They won't just buy one badge. They'll go in there and they'll buy. Yeah, but they'll spend 50 quid.
Yeah, they will.
And
They will.
yeah, but they're rife. Yeah, they're right to be relieved of that money. Rife to be relieved of that money, aren't they? And we don't seem to have got our heads around the fact that we can do it. I think. Yeah, but I think the other week. I forget the game where they announced on one of these Groupon websites that 80% off group tickets, weren't there?
That's right. Yeah.
And these people. And we just need to be smarter. We've got smarter to a certain extent. We actually, we franchised out this operation. In the car park, we've got your beers and you can get your German sausage and the catering.
That's improved a lot. That little area down by the cold blow. Yeah.
Yeah. And so we are working towards being a bit smarter. I think we need to get the catering inside the ground.
I think there's a lot
Sorted.
that could be done inside the ground, or should be done. I think you're right. I mean, the quality is really clear now between what you can buy. I mean, the West Upper listeners, as I'm sure everyone listening to the show knows, and it's the quality of what you get inside the ground compared with what I've seen down at where the Blue Bus is now, down at the Cold Blow Lane Inn. They've got like an outdoor drinking area. They've got the German sausage bar there. There was a stand selling for kids popcorn and stuff. But it looked like the kind of thing you would eat, Neil. You'd say, yeah, okay, it's going to cost you X. I don't know how much they're charging for a burger or a hot dog down there. But it was an eatable hot dog rather than something that looks like it's been through a nuclear test zone. That's right. So you don't mind paying stadium prices when what you're getting is good food. And so that's been got right down there, and I take my hat off to the club for getting that right. The outdoor bar looks like it's fairly lively and well used. It's just inside the ground. I think that's where the next level lies. You could probably even include selling souvenir type stuff inside the ground if you had it set up right.
There used to be a shop in the East Stand. I
don't know why we don't do it.
East Stand lower. Well, we did have that caravan outside, didn't we? I think they've now, which was outside the West Stand, wasn't it? And which I think they might have turned into the bar. They might have turned it into a bar. And we had the small club shop around the back of the East, or to the side of the East Stand, didn't we?
Yeah, I mean, they've been really inventive down there. They're using the old Blue Bus, which had broken down, wasn't moving anymore. So they've actually made that into a double-decker bus. They made it into a bar. They made it into a bar. They're selling drinks out of it. That's good. That's the kind of inventive thinking that you want to see. And there's million and one ideas that people can give, but it's just good to see it at least partially coming through. But there's other areas of the ground where I think we do need to improve a lot. Just to move us along, Neil. I mean, just to close the show, really. The last story I thought we could touch on was this going back to the training ground. You found this on local Kent website, Kent Live. Sevenoaks neighbours fury over Greenbelt Millwall FC training ground plans. This is a story on Kent Live, which purports to get together some furious neighbours of the new training ground at West Kingsdown. The headline implies there's going to be a lot more in the story than actually there was. It was actually quite a flimsy piece, actually, Neil. I thought there wasn't much to it apart from one or two neighbours who are a bit upset that there's going to be more traffic going to and from the new training ground when it's constructed.
Yeah, it was classic clickbait, but for our show, I think where we do discuss the Millwall news of the week and we put our spin on it, it seemed like quite a good story, especially as last week there was nothing around. We were on about supercomputers predicting where Millwall were going to finish from the news at Den. I thought, Christ, we better find something.
We're better than that. We're not. We're not better than that.
Yeah, no, true. I think that Millwall are victims of NIMBYs, aren't we?
NIMBYs, not in my backyard.
Brigade, yeah.
Yeah.
How a few football pitches is going to impact on John's, or whatever he's called, quality of life. Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, they seem to imply that this was the beginning of the end for the village, and Armageddon, that you were going to have suddenly hordes of Millwall fans descending upon the place, which is absolute bollocks, isn't it?
Well, it is.
You probably get 5 people looking through the fence every now and again. You'll know that if there's a reserve game, Dan from Lions TV does like to look through the fence and watch the game. I think
you're going a long way to do that, though. I mean, at least Calmont is nearby, isn't it? You know, this is a long way out in the country.
Mate, it's going to have almost no effect whatsoever on their quality of life. And having a few football pitches around, you would have thought that you would have thought that you'd rather have a Millwall training ground down there than them put in 1,000 houses on the site or something like that, and
it preserves it as
blocks of flats and supermarkets and things like that. Because that's the other alternative.
Build on it.
Would they rather have a major housing development down there, than have a few football pitches and 50 cars going up and down there for 2 or 3 hours a day? But let's be honest about it. Footballers, they're not in all day, every day, are they?
No, they're not.
You'll get there, but they'll get there an hour or two before they start training. They'll have their breakfast. They'll run around a football pitch for a couple of hours. They'll have some lunch and they'll bugger off home. They're home by 2 o'clock, aren't they?
Yeah, I mean, the story.
Yeah, but that's unless. Yeah, but that's unless you're waiting for Bobby Backache to finish. I'd be very interested to know if we're going to move our academy down there, because that might increase the amount of travel.
It is. I mean, one of the raging neighbours of the development down there says no public are allowed inside the grounds. It's going to be Millwall employees only. No children unless they belong to the academy. So I presume that does mean that the academy is going out that way. I mean, the story turns that there's no village benefit to the village of West Kingsdown whatsoever. But then I think the club's answer to that, Neil, will be the amount of work the community scheme are putting into the area. I mean, I don't know where that's focused. I don't know West Kingsdown particularly. I know where it is. It doesn't seem like a particularly.
I don't even know where it is. I don't even know where it is. And until I read it was in Sevenoaks, I had absolutely no idea. A friend of mine actually lives there. Somebody I went to school with. A Vernon fan. He lives in West Kingsdown.
It's very pleasant. I mean, it's very green. But the training ground is not going to be building like you say. It's not going to be building on a mass scale there. So you're going to have some training at gymnasium and offices and shower blocks and whatever. But it's still going to be largely speaking green. Football pitches are still grass, and
and you can hide all of that. You can hide. You can plant a load of trees, can't you?
You do a lot of softening. They call it, don't they? That's right.
But they will obscure that from view, so you can.
Anyway, I love this quote. This is from one chap here who's enraged by the amount of traffic. He says, "What's his name? I won't read his name out. He's a local resident. The road outside my cottage," he says, "is 4.9 metres wide, which sounds quite wide to me. I mean, and all the traffic that's going to come down in this narrow country lane, a 60-mile-an-hour road. I'm going to be driving down there at high speed, according to this bloke." And he's so enraged. He's so frustrated and annoyed. He's thinking of having another stroke. You don't get to. You don't get to choose.
Sorry, I'm not laughing. I'm not laughing at the fact that he's had a stroke. In case somebody wants to at me, I'm not laughing at the fact
No.
he's that he's had a
It
stroke.
says he
That's
might.
unfortunate.
I don't think he's meaning he'll choose to have it, listeners, because you don't choose these things.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, well, exactly.
I think there's a lot of
him thinking of having another stroke at the thought of Benicophobia revving up down the road and racing Zion Fleming. He's probably if your Dutch players are anything to go by, he probably owns an electric car or something like that. Yeah.
It's a flimsy story. There's a lot of disgusted reasons.
They'll just place speed restrictions. You won't be able to go more than 20 miles an hour, will
30,
you?
Whatever.
Yeah. But let's face it. What did he say it was? 3.5 meters. Yeah, but that's
4.9 meters. That's quite wide. That's what's that? 5 meters width of the road. You'll get two cars going in either direction. It's down a country lane clearly, but as you say, you speed bump it. You do something to control that.
Exactly. And
I think it's just they found two local residents who are disgusted, and that's kind of the strength of the story. I mean, what I will say, just moving on from that, is that the club have done a huge amount of effort, put a huge amount of effort into locate the community scheme down there. They've clearly done a lot of work with Sevenoaks Council, and the fact there's been no objections raised to it on an official basis, and the Secretary of State has let it go through, is a testament to the amount of time, effort and resources that the club's put into it. So you've got to take your hat off to that.
Exactly. But it's all about moving us forward. And what would Mr. Two Strokes like? Would he actually rather Millwall's training ground being down there, or would he rather 1,000 houses? We'll leave Mr. Two Strokes with that.
I think we've reached the end of this. I've done no prep for this show, listeners. I'm hoping it doesn't show too much through the seams of the links between each story. I want to say a big thank you to Neil Fissler for indulging my very amateurish prep for this show. Thank you, Neil. Thanks for coming on, mate.
Yeah, no problem, mate. FA Cup draw on Monday. I think we forgot to mention that, and
yes.
Hopefully waiting for our latest poor draw, won't we? Although I did notice it happened last Friday, just as we were recording. The youth team drew Arsenal away in the FA Youth Cup, but it was very soon pointed out that everybody got very excited because they hadn't seen Millwall at the Emirates. They actually played their games at Boreham Wood.
Yes. A lot less exciting going to Boreham Wood.
Yeah.
Yes,
the Cup will be exciting. And Bromley tomorrow, and we watch England tonight, and then but then hopefully we don't score all of our goals tonight, and we can save 5 or 6 for past understrength Welsh team.
And then the knockout phase, we'll see what we get. Fingers crossed for England tonight. Thank you for Neil. Thank you to you listeners for tuning in. Until the next edition of Achtung Millwall, it's Yucky Da. Bye for now.
Achtung Millwall.